Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Only Land Fan Show. My name is Kendall Lejeune, and our guest today is Ray Zhang. Ray Zhang came to the United States around 11 years ago. Right after that, he ended up homeless and had to gather free stuff to sell for survival. He then got into selling cars, which paid the bills but didn't really float his boat. So he switched gears to real estate. He gave real estate a shot for a good 6 years, but luck wasn't really on his side. He dropped over $250,000 on mentorship fees. But everything changed around 5 years ago when he shifted his focus to dealing with land. That's when the wind started rolling in. Just last year, he and his team raked in a net profit of around $900,000. The coolest part? He's never even seen the land he's worked with. It's all virtual. And that, for him, is the ultimate taste of freedom. Ray, thanks so much for joining us. How are you today?
I'm doing very well. Thank you, Ken. Yeah, that was
Yeah, well,
I thought you were talking about someone else.
we are talking about the man, the myth, the legend, Ray Zhang. Ray, thank you so much for joining us. I had such a tremendous response the last time you were on the podcast. And when we hooked up in Tampa at Mastermind, you mentioned this new incredible stat that you had just done 160 land deals in the last 4 months. And I said, we've got to have you back on the show so you can talk to our listeners about this incredible strategy and what you're doing. Before we
Absolutely.
do that, I'd love to just see if you can quickly recap for us. Maybe that there are some people that are listening to this for the first time. They may not know exactly who you are. Give us a little bit of background about you and your business.
Awesome. So I came to the country about 12 years ago to this month. When I came to the country, I didn't speak a lot of English and I had to practice. So I feel bad for those people who were beside me by then. They probably don't know what I'm talking about. But after so many practice, I started to try to earn money because I brought $5,000 to the country. And I remember the first day I bought an iPhone and I have 3,600 left. So I
Wow.
had to figure out a way. Along the journey, I was a janitor, I was homeless, and then I became a car dealer. And then I just want to do something a little bit bigger because car dealer for sure can feed the family, and we were having a very good living. However, I tried real estate for 6 years. It didn't have any results at all. I had one deals, I think, until I started to do land. That's when everything started to change.
That is remarkable. There's so many incredible components of that background story, but one of the things that really jumped out to me was that you were working in real estate for 6 years, had only done one deal, and you're still here and you still were pushing and displaying grit. I think that's so important. I think some people, it's really easy to try something really hard for 6 months and say, hey, this is just not for me. It's not working out. And then they quit.
Yeah.
So that's remarkable. Can you talk to us a little bit about what's new since you were on the show? Like, what's going on with you?
Oh yeah. So last October, I was doing fine, had a lot of land deals. However, I went to that mastermind we belong to, and that those kind of people inspire me, right? I tell people all the time, if you want to change your life, it's not a book, it's not a like a video like this. It is the environment, right? So a lot of time we think, okay, once I acquire that skill, once I join that class, my life will change. Your life will not change because your environment is still the same. It will be very hard for you to change. However, if you're around all those wealthy people, rich people, you had to change. You subconsciously will change, and then your environment will change. The best way to change your life is to involve yourself to environment like your group, right? And or some type of mastermind. So I went to the mastermind and then I got inspired. I had a lot of money in the bank. So I was like, I got to do something instead of just saving those money because when there's a lot of different stage of being a business owner. The first stage is you hunger for having something, hunger for doing something, hunger to get more money. Once you have a certain amount of money, and then you are at a fork, and you can either choose to sit with those money and feel very secure and comfortable. And then there's another way to really just spend it all on not on garbage or junks, on the thing that can bring you more money. So that's what I did. I spent it all, almost all of them, on those new deals. And that was scary. I mailed like over 100,000 mailers per month and just direct mail, right?
Oh,
I got calls all the time. I had no time for anything else. I basically at least get one deal a day. That's a bare minimum. And someday I got 5 deals, right? So that's how you want to push yourself. And there's an excellent book about this. It's written by John Damon, one of the sharks, right? He wrote a book called The Power of Broke, right?
ooh,
Yeah, what is that? What he teaches, you always want to keep yourself broke so you can keep yourself motivated. You don't want to keep yourself broke because you bought a new Ferrari. You want to keep yourself broke because after you have some money, you spend it all on all the assets that can bring you more money or even more cash flow. And then that kind of motivate you, right? That's
yeah.
why the rich people keep working harder sometimes.
That is remarkable. So you were doing 100,000 mail pieces a month. You were getting anywhere between 1 to 5 land deals a day. So I'd love to dive into that a little bit. You we talked about the fact that you did 160 land deals in the last 4 months. So can you give us a high level overview of that new strategy? Is it just mail, or just give us an overview of what that looked like?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same as the one we talked about last time. However, I did a small twist. The
Okay.
twist is before I used to just look into what subdivision sold how many land for how much. And then I mail a letter based on that price. So right now we changed it to I mail to every landowner, every single one of them, whoever own land in that particular county. And then we just mail a percentage of the assessed value.
Oh,
Normally,
wow.
yeah, normally the market value is higher than the assessed value. So if we can buy the land at a certain percentage of the assessed value, and after they agreed on that price, we negotiate again, we can get phenomenal deals. For example, of course, this is not happening all the time. I got 5 land for free. I
Free.
paid, yeah, I
They said,
paid,
take it. Take it, Ray. We don't want it anymore.
yeah, he has 5 parcels. And after closing costs, all the back taxes he owed, we paid about 7,500 of them for all of them. Today we got an offer for 45,000 for 2 of them. So we still have the other 3 but haven't sold yet. The realtor said he might be interested in buying all of them. So that's the power of it because when you reach to more people, you get more deals. That sounds very basic and common sense, but when you actually do it, it's really hard because you pull the credit card, it's really hard to spend those money. And a lot of people ask me, Ray, what should I write on the offer letter? What is the expiration date I need to put on the letter? What is the offer price I need to put on there? I tell them all the time, it does not matter. What matters is you send it to them and they call you. That's it.
Right.
And
Right.
it's all the numbers game.
That's really fascinating. So you mentioned that you were offering a percentage of the assessed value. What percentage are you currently offering?
It depends on the area. We normally offer about between 40 to 70%.
Got it.
Yeah.
And what part of the area dictates your percentage? Like, how do you figure out, okay, for this area, I'm going to offer 55%, on this area, I'm going to offer 40. How do you
Mhm.
decide what that percentage is going to be?
Yeah, there's no particular formula, but on the West Coast, I will offer a little bit less. On the East
Oh,
Coast, I would offer a little bit higher. The land on the East Coast are typically worth more. If you offer too low, they're not gonna call you. Maybe on the East Coast, depends on my mood. Today I feel like 68, right? And then offer 68.1%.
Yeah.
And on the
Point
West
one.
Coast,
Point
yeah,
one.
absolutely. I don't want it to be even.
Love that. I love that. You were doing blind offers before where you were going and trying to price out the market and get your price per acre, price per square foot, or whatever it is if you're dealing with infill lots and you're running those numbers. So it sounds, has this new strategy or this twist that you call it, has this allowed you to get these offers out faster because you're not doing as much due diligence on the front end to be able to price these offers?
Absolutely. And I can be able to reach to more people. That's the main thing, right?
Got it.
That's a very basic thing I start to understand because a lot of time you think it's the price that is the most important. I got to make the price so precise and so perfectly so people, when they call me, they are ready to sell. There's no such thing. And you just have to reach out to more people. And also, when you do a lot of offers and you don't care as much. Sometimes when you mail too little, you spend a lot of time on like small amount of list and you just really want to get that deal. And that kind of mindset will push you away from the deals. For example, you like a girl, like a lady, right? The lady is really beautiful. You really like her. And there's two guys, and one guy is Miss Wonderful. I really love you. I really want to be with you. And the other one is, you can be with me, you can, or it can be somewhere else. I don't really care. Normally, the lady will choose the second one, right?
Yeah.
Your mindset is different. And also, right now, to the new method, let's say the list has 10,000 names. I don't spend more than 5 minutes to do the offers. 2 minutes is done because
That's
all
fantastic.
because all the assessed value is on there. I just do a percentage and I do a drag. That's done.
Done.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's great. I've heard it said, I think it was it Tom Kroll who said this at our mastermind meeting, the like when it comes to sales, always be leaving. So you're not attached to the outcome. I think that has a lot to do with what you're talking about, this mindset shift. So let me ask, what is it that inspired you or led you to try this new strategy? It sounds like you put a lot of money into it. What was it that made you say, okay, I'm going to change how I'm doing it? And not only am I going to change, but I'm going to go all in and I'm going to put a lot of money into mailers.
Mm. Yeah, that was just a thought because if I do before that, I really look at what subdivision sold for how many land. And there are some subdivision don't have any land sold. So I was thinking, what about those subdivision? And maybe I should get some deals there. So I started experiment this. And I mailed to everybody who owned land in the entire county with just a percentage of the assessed value. And then the call started to come in more. And the more calls you're going to get, the more deals you're going to get.
Mm. Yeah,
Right. So
numbers game.
it's that simple. I think my brain is not big enough. So I couldn't really,
Ray,
I couldn't.
I think your brain is way bigger than you're giving yourself credit for. So this is fascinating. Let's drill down a little bit more into this. You mentioned earlier, which I think was a really good point, is that your price doesn't have to be perfect on this offer that you're making. The expiration date doesn't have to be perfect. It's not about that. So it seems like it's more about getting them to call and start the conversation, right? So can you talk to us about, just give us an overview of the steps that go out? You pull your list, you price the list, you mail the list, then what happens when the phone rings?
Yeah, I don't take calls live. And then a call start to come in, people just leave a voicemail, right? And of course, there's a lot of people get mad. There are three kind of people I don't call them back. The first one is they curse on me. And maybe if I have a bad day, I'll call them back and curse back. So let's do it, right? And
Yeah, get your little punching bag in.
and the second kind is if they are a realtor. So no offense to the realtor. However, I don't want to make a negotiation has a guy in between. And the third kind of I don't call back is they tell me, Ray, I'm not going to sell any land. So I'm not going to call them and convince them. If a person don't want to sell, there's no way you can convince them to sell. And if people tell me, Ray, I'm ready to sell, or I like your offer, whatever, I'll call them back. And then I will renegotiate again. I never pay the offer price on the letter. And then when I negotiate, the key is this: do not care about your price. When you solve their problem, you will be very happy with the price you're going to buy for the land. So it's a giving mindset instead of taking mindset. What is a taking mindset? Is I got to buy this land at this price because I want to make money, right? The giving mindset is, what is your problem? Why do you want to sell this land? Looks this land is good, right? And once you solve their problem, you can get the land even for free. And a lot of people don't believe me. I got this land for free. And I just want to really find out why they want to sell. For this land, I just told you, I got 5 lands for free. Is his dad has a company, and his dad passed away, and he really don't want that company. He want that company to be dissolved, and that's the last 5 parcels under that company. So
Mm.
I told him, what if I can just help you get rid of those 5 lots, and would you be just happy with it? And he said, absolutely, let's do it. What do you need me to do? That's how you negotiate.
That's remarkable. Now, I remember from our first episode with you that you are a master at negotiations. You're like you are the negotiation ninja. And I think that you had mentioned that you had really honed those skills when you were working and when you were flipping cars and that type of thing. So I want to ask you this question, a deep dive question. We've all been there where we've talked to a seller, maybe calls in on a piece of material, marketing material, and they say, "All right, I'm ready for your offer. Give me your offer." And you say, "Okay, I want to help solve your problem. So why are you looking to sell?" What do you do when that person says, "Look, you contacted me, make me an offer. I'm not getting into all of that." How do you get more information to be able to put yourself in a position where you can give and it's not this negotiation, tug of war back and forth on the
Mm.
price?
Yeah, there's a lot of small tricks. The first one is never give your offer first, no matter how low you think that offer is. And because you don't know what they want for the land. I'm gonna give you an example. So I lost this deal, unfortunately. It's my fault. I became too greedy. He had 80 acres in South Carolina, and I check it out. And all the land sold is 10,000 per acre sold price. So this 80, sorry, I think it's 70 acres. 70 acres could easily worth at least $500,000, at
Yeah.
least, right? So I asked him, how much do you want to sell for the land? It looks pretty big, right? And he said, I just want 1,000 for per acre, 1,000. So I could easily buy this land for 70 grand. And the mistake I made is I didn't meet him in time. And I said, how about 600? I'll do that per acre. And he agreed. And he said, let me think about it for 2 days. So that's a mistake I made. I gave them enough time to think about it. So if you have a good deal, get under contract today. I don't care if you have to fly there. And then I said, okay, I'll call you on Monday. So on Monday, he said, Ray, I'm sorry. The land is already under contract with another guy for 250,000. So
Ah,
that how can you get 250,000 if you only want 1,000 per acre?
right.
So that must be the buyer told him, okay, for this land we can do 250,000. So that's a huge mistake, cost him about $170,000.
Yeah.
So never
Wow.
give out offer first. And
Never give an offer first. So I do have a question about that, a follow-up question. I've also heard it said that some people in negotiation, we hear never give an offer first because you give up your leverage and you don't know, you made an excellent point. You don't know what the seller is going to accept. But there's also a thought process of anchoring a price, right? So
mm,
let's say a seller wants way, way too much for the property. Let's say the property is worth $50,000 and they come to you with a silly answer like I want $600,000 for my property. If you allow them to say 600,000 first, it's really difficult to walk them down to 50,000 and then even further. So
Mm.
what do you do when you ask that seller, how much do you need for the property? And they give you a crazy off the wall answer. What's your next step in negotiation at that point?
I simply tell them I cannot do that.
Okay.
That's it.
Goodbye.
And
I
then
can't do that. Goodbye.
no, I don't say goodbye. But
Okay.
because if I say I cannot do, that's a negotiation thing when you keep silent. Let's say we talking nonstop, and all of a sudden I stop talking. And then you'll be wondering what I am gonna say, right? Because this is awkward, right?
Hmm.
So if I say I cannot do, that's it. And I'm watching what he's gonna say. And I force him to say something because normal people will feel this is awkward, right?
Yeah.
So if he say, okay, no problem, goodbye. And then I just simply hang up the phone because if he wants 600,000 for 50,000 land, you're not gonna get to 20,000. No. And if you say, oh, what can you do? And now we can keep talking. And now you're chasing me, not me chasing you, right?
That's really good. That's really good. So let
Yeah.
me ask you, in terms of your process, when these sellers call in, are you negotiating right then and there, or are you getting some information from them and then running comps or figuring out what the price that you're willing to pay is, what the property is actually worth, doing some deal analysis, and then calling them back? Or what does that process look like for you?
Yeah, always try to get to agreement when you're on the phone. The next time you call him should be, did you sign the agreement? Or is there anything that prevent you from signing it? Always try to get the land under contract. And a lot of time, they will get a lot of offers. And if you don't act fast enough, and you will lose the deal. Yeah.
So let's say someone calls on your mail and they say, "Hey Ray, I see that you offered me $40,000 on this property. I I would like 45." And you guys start negotiating. How do you know if that 45 number is, let's say it might be a deal at 45, it might not be a deal even at 40. So, do you do any deal analysis before you start negotiating to know exactly like what you need to get the property at? Because you've just sent like these blind offers, right?
Mm.
Based on the assessed value, here's a percentage, but what stage, or that might just be my mindset, but do you do any other type of deal analysis before you actually start negotiating?
I do it while talking to them. So I look at,
Oh,
yeah, look at what is the sold price nearby for similar lots. And you want to pay attention if this lot has some huge defect, right? For example, it's a wetland, it's landlocked, it's in the FEMA flood zone. You want to make sure the land has not a huge problem. And then you want to see how much the land sold nearby for a similar lot. And then if the similar lot sold for, say, 100,000, you're buying for 40, and you're in a very good position. However, you do not want to think about the price. So here's the thing. I get this all the time when I was doing cars as well. Even the car dealer asked me, or the land flipper right now asked me, Ray, there's no way you get that car or land for that price. I used to buy a car for $500. I sold it for 300, 3,000, 3,500. I got land for free. I got land for a couple thousand, and I just bought another land in Hawaii. I bought it for 13,000. The land was 60,000. And so how am I able to do that? Because when you negotiate, you don't have a number in mind, right? And when you have a number in mind, you think, okay, if I can buy this land for this price, that'll be a huge hit. And that small singular thought will limit you,
huh.
right?
Yeah.
So, for example, I gave this example all the time. The land worth 30,000. I sent offer for 13,000. At what price? I ask people all the time. At what price after negotiation? Again, the land worth 30,000. I made an offer for 13,000. At what price you will be really happy today after negotiation? Some people say, I'll be really happy at 6,000, right? I'll be really happy at 7,000. Some people say, I'll be very happy at 10,000, right? I spend 30 minutes, I talk down 3,000, right? So that very thought will limit you. I bought that land for 1,000. That's a true story. But why was I able to do that? Because I don't have a number in mind. I can get the land for free if you want. So let's just go as low as possible. So that should be your goal. Get the land as low as possible, and that's how you negotiate.
Wow, that's remarkable. So negotiation sounds like it's a huge part of what makes this strategy successful. So you mentioned that there are some small tricks. Never give your number first. You gave us the magic words, I cannot do that, and be quiet in the negotiation. What are some other small tricks that you use in negotiation to get that price as low as possible?
Okay, so here's another one. All right, we teach this in our program. There's 13 of them, and this is one of them about the silence. So I use the silence on my part just now when we were talking. However, there's another silent you want to actively look. For example, there's a girlfriend you just want to date, right? And I always want to give an example of the dating because they are so similar, right? So this lady, you think she likes you and you like her, and then you ask her, "Hey, can I kiss you?" And there are a couple of different response after that. If the lady said, "Hell no," and they jump and give you a slap, that means she doesn't like you. What if she says nothing? What does that mean? It means she agree with you. She just don't want to say it out loud. Of course, there's another one say, oh, let's do it for a long time. And that's very rare. That's very rare. However, most girl, they will act as if you didn't say nothing. They will keep silent. So when you negotiate with the landowner, you want to look for that silence. If I give you an offer, let's say I say, Mr. Seller, for this condition for this land, I can probably do around 2 or 3,000. If the seller keeps silent, that means only one thing. You have a motivated seller right here.
Mm.
And you want to negotiate as low as possible, right? Because here's the thing about human being. Most people do not know what they want. If you go on the street, ask them, hey, what's your goal in life? They'll say more money. Some people say, I don't know. Some people say more money and more health, more happy. So they are not very specific. So they don't know what they want. However, everybody knows what they do not want. And you hear people say, I really don't like this job. I don't want to go to school. I don't want to do this. So if people don't like your offer, they'll tell you right away. They're not going to wait and keep silent. So once you hear that silence, you can jump around. You can be very happy because that's a motivated seller. That's a deal.
Wow. Yeah, that's fantastic. So what a golden nugget right there. Worth the price of admission just for that little piece. So can you talk a little bit about when you are talking to sellers and you mentioned that you rarely, if ever, pay the amount that's on that initial offer letter. How do you present that offer? And what if they come back and they say, well, you said 13,000 and now you're not giving me 13,000. What's going on with that? How do you renegotiate
Yeah,
based on what you already told them?
a lot of people say you're baiting and switch, right? And you offer this much and now you try to negotiate. So I just simply tell them we made the offer in massive quantity and we mail at least 20,000 a week. So there's no way we look at each of them and see what is going on in this particular land. Based on what I can see, one, two, three, four, five, this is the problem I can see. And this all costs money, right? I don't know how much I should offer, but what's the best you could do? And a lot of people confuse with bargaining with negotiation. So if you
Oh,
only yeah, if you only talk about the price, you're bargaining, right? Bargaining doesn't work much because the seller don't even know you. Why do they give you a 5,000 cut, right? However, if you tell them this is what's going on with the land, from what I can see, number one, two, three, four, five, normally they will feel a sense let's say they're not in the position of stay on the strong offer anymore. So you give them less power to stay on that higher offer. Does it make sense?
Absolutely. So you say I'm looking at these five things, one, two, three, four, five. These all cost money. So how do you actually then you say what is the least that you'll take? Or what's your favorite terminology for asking once you presented them with all of the issues of the property or the top five that you can see, what's the next step that you take after that?
First of all, I don't say that five things all at once,
Got
right?
it.
I say it one at a time, right? And then I never give a price. So I want them to tell me, right? So for example, on the 30,000 land worth 30,000, the offer was 13,000. The first thing I tell him is, Mr. Seller, looks like your land has a lot of trees and the entrance is not even paved road. And yeah, I really don't know how much I should do. Yeah, we typically offer only a few thousand for land like that. So what is a few thousand? And a few thousand is particular normally under 10,000. So what I'm really saying is, can you give me at least $3,000 cut?
Mm.
Yeah, I can do that. So when people agree with you, never stop there. And I said, not only that, there's like a high tension power line on the sky. You cannot build nothing underneath because every city has that rule. I'm not sure. This is really hard. I don't know. We typically offer two or 3,000. Yeah, I'm not sure. So you want to be that hesitant buyer. You want to sound like it, right?
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, I can do 3,000, right? And that's how you do it. So one at a time, never give a specific answer because if you give a specific offer and that's just a yes or no question after that. So if you tell the seller, hey, I can only do 2 grand for this land, right? So you're leaving the seller to give you either yes or no, and typically is a no.
Hey there, land fans. If you're enjoying this episode and would like to see more episodes like this, please be sure to let us know by liking and subscribing below. So, can you give us an example of like when you finally do come to an agreement on a very specific price? Because you say, I can do around two or 3,000, that kind of thing. What does that sound like? How do you button up that conversation so you get a specific price and then you can move that to a contract?
Yeah, you want to sound like you don't want to buy it. So on that one, I said, yeah, normally we do 2 or 3,000 for land like that. And he said, okay, I can do 3,000. I said, okay, Mr. Seller. I was thinking is if I present another offer for 1,000, he might get mad because I just told him 2 or 3,000, right? So I
Right.
said, Mr. Seller, let me go there and check it out. I'll call you this afternoon. Is that okay? Said okay. So I went to do something else. And then I spent 5 minutes to look at the land virtually on Google Map. Also Zillow Redfin to see if there's any possibility that I could lose money for 3,000. And there was no way. And all the land sold for at least 35, 32,000. So I called him back. I said, Mr. Seller, yeah, I'm so sorry. I check out the land. It's a little bit more whatever you find out that I thought.
Right.
Make the problem more intense, right? So now you can present an offer. And I said, yeah, I can only do 1,000 for this land. And when you make the offer, you want to be really firm and solid. Like you don't want to be a range anymore. And then you want to see his response. And luckily for him, he agreed. And if he doesn't agree, you can always pull him back by offering a little bit more.
And how
Yeah.
would you do that? Would be an example if he'd say, "Oh, $1,000, no, no way, not doing that."
Yeah. Oh, okay, no problem. Yeah, it just a little bit, and then I emphasize the problem again, just because of that in this. Okay, how about this? You tell me, what's the best price you could do? Because now you're at a very low anchor already,
Yes.
right? And he won't go crazy.
He's not going to say $10,000
Yeah,
because you've already prefaced it with a few thousand, right? Two to three.
right,
So that's what
right.
he's kind of expecting. That's super smart. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah. That's a small thing we teach in the negotiation course, which is you want to walk down the stairs one stair at a time and see his respond. But when people negotiate, they just want to jump off the cliff. And the land worth 30,000, they say, "Oh, I can do 1,000." And they jump off the cliff all the way to the bottom. And it's not
Right.
going to be very pretty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that is fantastic. What kind of research do you do when you're looking for markets to send mail out to this? Like, what are some of the criteria that you look for when you're deciding which markets you're going to be mailing?
For me right now, it's pretty random. And how random it is, vary, right? So I talked to a friend of mine who live in Pennsylvania, and then I asked him, "Is that where you live?" And he said yes. And then after the phone call, I started to mail Pennsylvania. I got 20 deals. And then me and my wife went to Disney. We passed a county in Florida. And then my wife was driving. I was like, this has a lot of land. What county is this? So I started to search a county in Florida. It's called Clay County. And then after that day at night, when we're still at Disney, I started to mail already. So it's very random. Right.
Wow.
But you want to make sure that the area you choose is good because you don't want to choose an area that losing a lot of people, right? That's a basic.
Got
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So when you're doing mail, are you doing only mail right now? So you're
Only mailing right now. Yeah.
okay. Are you doing repeat, like retargeting mailing? So if let's say you mail one county, are you going to mail people that haven't responded 3 months later, or is it like a one and done thing?
It's one done, but I might come back about 6 months later.
If you talk to
Uh,
a friend that lives in that county, you say,
if I drive by
wait a
and feel
minute.
like it, because there's so many of them, so many counties.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Yeah. Never ran out of them.
So good. Ray, are you talking to every single person? You're sending out 100,000 mail pieces a month. What's your response rate, by the way? What are you seeing?
About 1%. And recently I started to mail this special list. It's by Micah. You must know him. As if anyone interested, they can contact me. But he has this special list. It's called probate list. For whoever their family member pass away, normally they have like they go to court for some record, and this guy who specialized in that kind of record, so he pulled all those lists and then we start to mail them. And that list, we got about 10% response rate.
Wow.
Normally it's 1%, right? And I would say about 50% of my deals in the past 4 months are from that list.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
that's
really cool. So
yeah.
are you feel that even if it's just a regular no probate list, you're just mailing stuff out, you're getting 1,000 responses. Some of those responses you're not calling back because they're angry or something like that. So let's just say half of those responses you have to call back. Are you personally calling all 500, or do you have a team that's working with you to do that?
Yeah, just myself. I want to call all of them the same day. Right? Call them
Wow.
back the same day. Yeah, because you think about it, if you mail 10,000 mailers, it's going to be roughly about 100 calls, and 50 of them, I don't respond back. You only left with 50 calls. That's very easy. I can
Yeah.
do it in a day. It's not
Awesome.
that hard. Yeah.
Yeah, and so you are literally like when you're sending out that mail, you are just waiting for those calls to come back, and it's okay. Like you send everyone a voicemail first and then you respond to the voicemails.
Hmm. Yeah,
Cool.
the
No
voice
answering
voice
services, no fancy stuff. It's just voicemail.
correct. Keep it simple. In my voicemail is very simple. I don't screen them. I know some people want to set up all this different program where they have the seller answer a whole bunch of questions by talking to a machine, right? But I don't do that. I just set up a voicemail saying, "Hey, my name is Ray. Thank you for calling. Please leave me your name and the parcel number for the land, and I'll call you back." That's it.
Wow, that's it.
Yeah,
And you call them back and make the magic happen.
absolutely.
That's remarkable. So, if someone is looking to do this specific strategy, now maybe not everyone has the marketing budget to do 100,000 mail pieces a month. I imagine that that could get quite expensive. So, I know that you mentioned this as a numbers game, but how can people get started testing this strategy? What would you suggest? What would be some pointers that you could provide to them to help them get started using this specific strategy?
Yeah, first of all, you can start small. I started to mail a couple hundred when I first started, right? So I tell my student, you at least need to mail 3 or 4 thousand pieces a month. That's a bare minimum. And another objection I get all the time is, Ray, it's easier for you. You have more money, right? And I don't have money, so I couldn't start it, right? Here's the thing. You have money, you just don't know where it is. I have a student, so I'm teaching him to do land flipping. And his wife asked me, "Hey Ray, what should I do? I'm a stay-at-home mom with a couple kids. I have quite a bit of time. I just want to utilize that time." I said, "This is what you need to do." So I told her how to pick up free stuff and sell it back on the marketplace. I never thought she would really start doing that or have any results. And right now, she is earning at least $6,000 a month just picking up random free stuff online. And that's just for her, right? So there is absolutely no excuse for anyone. I did that. That's why I can tell her.
Yeah,
And you can always find time to do it more land deals. I understand you have maybe have a 9 to 5 job. After you going home, you just want to rest. But is your dream bigger or is your TV bigger, right?
that's really cool. I love just being resourceful to be able to fund your business. So when you
Mm.
say free stuff online, is she just like finding free stuff on Facebook Marketplace and then turning around and putting on Facebook Marketplace for a price? Or what does that kind of look like if people are interested in kind of diving into that?
Yeah, she downloaded an app called Freebie, Freebie, I think.
Okay.
So it connect to all your social media, offer up Facebook, Craigslist. I think there's something else. So every time every anyone posts a free stuff and you get a notification. And the key thing is you have to act fast because they're free. And then she get it home and start to maybe make it a little bit prettier. And right now she has this huge storage. She put everything in and you can be able to sell those. And I'm just saying this because you always can find time to do more deals. For example, me and my dad, when he was here last month, we had a deal in Atlanta. The land is in Hawaii. So I rent a car Wednesday night at 8 p.m. When we got the car, it's already 8 p.m. So I told the rental company, we're gonna rent here from Florida. We're gonna drive to Atlanta. We're gonna drop the car there. And my dad asked me, how do you come back? I said, remember what I did before? I was a car dealer. I'm gonna buy a car there and I'm gonna drive it back. My dad said, no way you can buy a car in a day, right? I said, let's try it. I don't even know if it'll work. I think it'll work, right? It was, and we're supposed to return the car at 8 p.m. the next day. So we drove there in the morning. I met with the seller. We did all this, deed and everything. And we exchanged money. The land deal is done. So now I have to find a car. So I looked for all day and then didn't find one. I started to doubt myself too. And at 650, I bought a car, right? And I bought it for 3,000. and I returned the car, rental car. We drove it back. It's about 5 hours. The next day, I sold that car for 5,500. Can always find things to buy and sell.
I love that. I love that. Ray, you just mentioned that when you did this deal, you did the transfer of the deed, collected the cash right there. Are you self-closing the majority of these deals? Are you using title companies sometimes? How do you go about doing that?
Yeah, I normally don't self-close because there might be a lot of problem. But
Right.
in Hawaii, the closing cost is extremely pricey. If you haven't been there, try it out. Try the watermelon. You'll be surprised how much it is. And so the closing cost is at least like $3,000.
Wow.
So I just hired this lawyer who the title company hire him to do the closing documents. So I just have him to prepare my deed, right? And then we meet with the seller, we get all this done. Simple. But I don't suggest you or anyone to do this that often. I will always try to close with the title company, right? It's
Gotcha.
much safer.
And are you actually self-funding all of these deals? Are you doing lenders? Are you doing assignments or double closes? How are you structuring these deals?
I self-funding them 100% right now. Yes,
Got it. When you can buy $1,000 property, that makes it a lot easier, right?
absolutely. And the cash has more power to the seller. So when I was selling cars, what I normally do is I'll go in front of the seller. I'll count the money in front of him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And when he smelled that cash, he got confused, right? And when you get people confused, they will agree with your price. That's
Love it.
buying and selling is all emotional game, so it's fun.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And so when you're selling these properties, are you listing them on the MLS? Do you usually work with a realtor? What do you do for the dispo on those?
Yeah, I used to list every single property with a realtor. So right now I start to do a little bit something else. So I would search for that particular county for a photographer, like a real estate photographer. So I just got a deal in Texas. It's 3 acres. So I was like, I'm gonna try something else this time. So I hired this guy, paid him $250. He got this drone flying around, take picture of the land. It's very good. And he sent it back to me. So I went on brokerless.com. It's a service that can, it's a flat fee realtor service, right? Basically, you kind of avoid the listing agent, but you still have to pay the buyer agent 3% or whatever you want to put it there. We just avoid the listing agent. So I don't have to pay the listing agent the 3%. I just need to pay $99 to list my property on the MLS. So I list the land for 110,000. I bought it for 70,000. We sold it in 2 weeks. It's under contract right now for 106,000.
Wow. Love it.
Yeah.
All day long, all day long. Fantastic. So, what are some of the biggest challenges that you're finding with this specific model?
I don't know. I don't see any challenges.
Like I just did 160 in 4 months. How challenging can that be? Like, what else do you want? Have
Yeah,
there
I
been any surprises maybe as you started doing this? Doesn't necessarily have to be challenges, but have there been any surprises that you come into where it's like, oh, I wasn't expecting this compared to how you used to do the deals?
I would say if you have to find one, is we might have to send a little bit more mailers than the people who do rural land, do the land out of nowhere. We might have to send a little bit more mailers, but it's not as bad as houses. Nothing close.
Nothing close. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And but I hear this all the time. I send 2,000 letters. I got 2 deals. I was like, that must be rural land. For infill lots, it's rarely happened that way.
Got
Yeah,
it. So when you're sending, are you saying for infill lots, if you send 2,000, you should be getting more than 2 deals or less than 2 deals?
less than 2 deals.
Less than two
I
deals.
I would doubt if you could have a deal.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Yeah.
For sure, for sure. What is the what would you consider to be one of your biggest or your most successful deal using the specific strategy so far?
I compared to the dollar amount, I really like that free land, those free lands.
Yeah, the ROI on free is infinite, right? That's a nice ROI.
Right. And it just the feeling after you get those land for free is nothing compared to that. And even let's say you buy a land, you can profit 100,000, but I bought that land for free, whatever. I'm better. I think that's the thing that people can really like about it. And you just have to believe things like that will happen. I got a text message the other day. This lady said, Ray, when you say you get the land for free, I never believed you. And until I had this land for free myself. And that land worth 35,000. She got it for free. Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, belief is so important on so many different levels, just from a mindset and an energy thing. I think it's so important. And the thing that I really love about it is it's almost alchemy. It's like a form of alchemy that you are turning nothing into $35,000 cash. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, what do you see the future looking like for you in terms of this specific strategy? What's your next step or evolution of this specific business model?
I'm a workaholic. Me and my wife had a big argument last weekend because the problem with me is when I do not work, I have a headache. I don't try to do that, but every weekend when I don't work, I say we go to Disney or whatever, I will have a headache. We went to Mexico for a week. I had a headache every single day. So it's not something I imagine. I guess there's something wrong with me, but I just have to keep working, I guess. I guess in the future, I just want to do more land deals and help more people to do a little more land deals
That's
because
remarkable.
yeah, because there's a lot more land than I can handle. And what I want to show people is for a guy like me who don't even speak English that well, I can do it. You can definitely do it. Right.
I love that. I love that. We hear a lot in land space. Oh, do you think land is getting too saturated? What would
Mhm.
you say to that?
Yeah, we hear this all the time, no matter what market you're in. And you do house, you hear the same. You buy Bitcoin. People ask me, is this the highest already? We're at the bottom. People ask that all the time. It's all based on fear. They're afraid. That's why they ask you. What they really want to ask you is, if I want to get in, is that too late?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's never, when people ask that question, that means one thing. They are not committed. So if I'm committed, I don't care if it's saturated. If there's something for you to eat, I'm gonna grab some. So
Right.
that's the mindset you want, right? But strange enough, for those people who ask that question, they are not gonna get deals because your commitment level is not there. You are not gonna get rewarded. And the older I get, the more I learn that whatever you have right now or whatever you will have is based on the commitment level you have on that particular subject. So if you want to be a billionaire and you would rather die than not to, you have to be a billionaire. Somehow you will be. If you feel like, oh, that's not possible for me, or I don't really mind if I want to be a one or not, you're never going to be one.
Yeah, that's powerful. That's powerful. Ray, it sounds like a lot of your perspectives come from a place of mindset. Mindset is so important in to your success. You mentioned John Damon's book. Do you have any other resources that you really like when it comes to mindset or any authors that you like to read when it comes to the mindset piece?
The book I always recommend is The Science of Getting Rich. Right.
Mm.
And that's a book that absolutely changed my life. If you ever watched the movie The Secret, that's the book behind that movie. the lady who created that movie was inspired by that book, and her daughter gave her that book, right? So that's a book I always recommend. And another thing I started reading recently is a book called Surrounded by Idiots, right?
Okay.
Right. So it talk about sometime you want to be with the people who you really like, and you find it really hard to be surrounded with people you don't really like, or you find it really hard to communicate with certain people. And that book will explain why and how to deal with everybody. And I think he divided people to four different colors. When you buy land or doing any business, it's really just people to people skills, right? The better you get with people or different kind of people, you know how to get them right away. For example, if a person is super arrogant and you're super powerful, you don't like each other, right? How do you deal with people like that? And some people are really willing to listen to command, right? Listen to orders. And if you ask them, hey, what do you think? And they have no idea, right? You have to really find out what personality they have, and then you do something or say something accordingly.
Very cool. Yeah, that's that. And you're right. It's a people to people business. And it sounds like so much of your success comes from being able to negotiate and listen to what people need and being able to cut through all of that noise and just solve problems for them. And it sounds like that book, knowing what types of people you're dealing with, I'm sure helps you tremendously to be able to do that. So
Absolutely.
Ray, I just want to thank you so much for giving to us today. If someone wants to learn a little bit more about your coaching program, where can they go? How can they contact you to get more information on that?
They can just, yeah, just they can just add my Instagram is virtual flip lad. One word, virtual flip lad.
Awesome. And we'll go ahead and put that in the show notes as well.
Yeah.
And how can we give back to you today? What kinds of connections or resources you're looking for that if someone out there is listening, that we can help to provide back to you today?
Oh, you did a lot. And I was really surprised to see how many people are in your group. And the amount of value you provide to those people are phenomenal. And I just want to thank you because you give such a good example to us. And a lot of people, sometimes even myself, I find we just want to get the money and run. And then we don't want to do too much for that certain amount of money or for whatever price we name. But you did a very amazing job. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I consider this a privilege, and I'm so honored to be able to hang around some of the coolest people out there in the land space. I think the land space is very unique in that it's filled with really fantastic people. And you mentioned earlier, right at the top of our conversation today, that environment really changes the game, whether it's a mastermind, whether it's a community. I just think it's so important, the power of getting around people that are doing the things that you want to do and also have the mindset that you want to have. It's very different, like you mentioned, from reading a book to being around those people and seeing that in action. So I want to thank you so much for giving to us today. You are absolutely remarkable. Every single time you come on, you give us so much value. And so I just want to thank you so much, Ray, for being so generous with your time.
Thank you so much, Ken.
Absolutely. Everyone, thank you so much for watching. It's been an absolute pleasure. If you have any questions for Ray, please feel free to reach out to him at his Instagram handle, Virtual Flip Land. If you would like to catch up on past episodes of the Only Land Fans podcast, you can do that by our Apple or Spotify platforms. You can grab all of those links at onlylandfans.com. If you want to get into our free community that Ray was talking about as well, please feel free to do that at onlylandfans.com. There's information there excuse me, to get information on how to join that free Facebook community. Also, if you're interested in getting a little bit more tactical information in terms of maybe diagrams or contract templates or things like that, if you want to have access to masterminds like this where you can actually ask questions to our guests, you can also check us out on our school community. That's SKOOL. You can grab that information at olfskool.com. Also, we have links there for onlylandfans.com. If you want to just go to our main website, it's there as well. So again, thank you all for watching. Ray, this is always a pleasure, my friend, and it's so exciting to see what you're doing, and I cannot wait to check out how many more deals you're going to do in the next 4 months or so. So thank you so much. Take care, everyone. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. If you're interested in hearing from other 6- and 7-figure land flippers about how they've built and run their businesses, then check out my group, Only Land Fans, where I do a live interview each week inside the group. You can grab that link at the description below. Until then, be great, have a great week, and catch you in the next one.